Hello, my name is Sayam Chowdhury and I work as an assistant coordinator of the Sandpiper Task Force and principal investigator of the Bangladesh Sandpiper Conservation Project. So today I will talk to you about the important coastal shorebird sites in Bangladesh and how we have discovered those, found those, and what conservation interventions we are taking on the ground. So as you know that Bangladesh lies between two major flyways, East Asia-Australasia Flyway and the Central Asia Flyway, which brings a wide variety of shorebird species in our country. Also because we have one of the largest deltas in the world, which is Ganges Delta, which brings in rich sediments from the Himalayas and create excellent habitat for migratory shorebirds. And it's also one of the most dynamic coastal estuaries in the world. So as you know that Bangladesh faces a major problem of population. And the density of people all over Bangladesh is extremely high compared to many other countries, especially in the developed world. And it is difficult to find any space without people, even if you go within the national parks, coastal sites, wherever you go. At the same time, we have a wide variety of species, approximately 710 species that were recorded in Bangladesh, including many winter visitors. And we have birds visiting our coastal, freshwater and forest habitats as well. So the point is that even though we have such problems, we still have a large number of critically endangered species. At least 5 species are still being recorded in our country, and many other globally threatened species of waterbirds and other species. So apart from population, wetland degradation and development is these are the other key threats that shorebirds face in Bangladesh. And to really save some of the key sites from the development, we need to identify those, propose those to the government for its long-term protection. I will tell you what we have done in order to do that. So our work mainly started on spoonbill sandpiper back in 2009, when I started my undergrad thesis. As you know that the spoonbill sandpiper is one of the most threatened shorebirds in the world, with probably less than 200 breeding pairs. Left it breeds in Russia and travels down to Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Thailand through China and Korea and Japan. So before we started to work in 2009, there were fewer records and the key sites were not really identified, although we have still we hold a record of 202 individuals back in 1989. That's probably the single count ever recorded in Bangladesh. So in 2009 and 10, I received a small grant from the Explorers Club and surveyed all the major areas in the coastal areas of Bangladesh in order to identify the spoonbill sandpiper / shorebird sites in the country. And we have identified that Srinagar Island is one of the main sites of the spoonbill sandpiper, and Damarcha, which is part of Nizamti National Park as well. So these two also, when I say the site of the spoonbill sandpiper, I also mean that it supports a wide variety of other species that are globally important, like Northern Stinshine, Great Knot, and other near threatened shorebirds. So here is what I was telling you, that there are 25 to 30 species of shorebirds, and many of them are near threatened. And as you can see in the slide, that Northern Stinshine and Great Knot, they are regular winter visitors to many of the coastal wetlands in Bangladesh. So while we were doing shorebird surveys, we back in 2009 and 10, we encountered shorebird hunting, especially on Srinagar Island, where we discovered that some of the local people were hunting birds using noose traps. So then we really had to get into conservation from science, because we had started the project with a basic research question, like where the birds come, where they occur, and numbers and things like that. So back in 2010 and 11, we had to initiate conservation intervention, and we had worked with local hunters, 25 local hunters on Srinagar Island, who were hunting shorebirds, and they have also claimed to have captured spoonbill sandpipers. So on Srinagar Island, we had provided 25 hunters with alternative livelihood support, and we have signed an agreement with them that they will, of course, stop shorebird hunting. At the same time, they would protect the sites from anyone coming from outside to hunt birds or disturb the birds and things like that. Because these guys, they have to go to the shorebird sites anyway for their daily livelihood activities. So the alternative livelihood options they have taken were different kinds of things like fishing boat, net, watermelon, seed and cultivation, things like that. So this whole process was managed by the Village Conservation Group and our project. In addition, we have also reached out to the local people, local school children and women. These are really important, so that the local hunters, so that the local people actually knew that the local hunters had given support and they have stopped hunting. We also did some innovative outreach events, including a boat race, which was quite successful in attracting local attention and ultimately sharing our conservation messages. So what's the science behind all this intervention? So we have been monitoring Srinagar Island since 2009. We do monthly counts in winter as well as during summer. I will tell you that in a minute. So we see that the shorebird number show an increase after the hunting mitigation interventions were initiated, but I haven't really taken under consideration all the other variables. I will do that soon, but this is just the exact shorebird numbers that we have counted in that area. We also contribute to global knowledge. As you can see that these are the two marked spoonbill sandpipers. These were marked in Russia and they have traveled all the way to Bangladesh. And the special thing about these two birds that these white flag birds are head-started birds, which means that we have hand-reared these birds in Russia and they have successfully migrated to Bangladesh. One of the things that we did on Srinagar Island is over-summering surveys. So in order to identify which birds are over-summering, that would lead to a conservation question, meaning that if we have more shorebirds staying over summer, then we would need conservation protection outside the winter season, which people normally think that when the migratory birds come. So we found that some of these species didn't show significant difference in over-summering and wintering numbers, which means that these larger shorebirds were over-summering on Srinagar Island for 5 years during the study period. Same story as I was telling you. So this has a ratio of mean shorebird summer and winter counts. And you can see that the difference between winter and summer counts in terms of large shorebirds, presumably these were first or second winter birds that didn't go to the breeding ground, were not very significant. So we also work very closely with the forest department. Here you can see that the chief conservator of forest had organized an event on the World Migratory Bird Day in 2018, when I was invited to deliver a keynote speech. Apart from that, the Srinagar Island was threatened by a deep sea port development. That only recently the government declared that they will no longer build the deep sea port. That was official. So not only that, they had mentioned that the reason behind it is environmental, specifically birds, although we all know that it was definitely a political decision, but I was very delighted to see that they had mentioned shorebirds. And I think that all the papers and other popular articles that played a little role in popularizing the site as a key shorebird site, which then the government took on. Apart from these site-based conservation interventions, we also do regular expeditions throughout the coastal areas of Bangladesh. Again, this was targeted on mainly the spoonbill sandpiper, but it led to many other interesting findings. So we, from the Spoonbill Sandpiper Task Force, we had developed a species distribution model that told us which are the areas we should focus to survey for the Spoonbill Sandpiper. As you can see that this red area, this area was not really surveyed well before 2015. So once the model told us that we should look at that area more closely, we did expeditions. And we actually found 48 spoonbill sandpiper wintering in that area. And we have published the paper, and we had then took that recommendation to the government. In addition, we did some other research on spoonbill sandpiper as well. I'll skip that. So after the paper was published, we took it to the Forest Department, and the new site was declared as a Flyway network site in 2018. So if I zoom out and tell you what the main activities in Bangladesh, you can see that there are 5 major components that we look at. One is hunting mitigation and monitoring key areas. So once we identify an area, we continue to monitor that, try to find problems and then find a way to solve those. So once we find a new site, we also propose that if its site is important, we also propose that as a new protected area. And we also do large-scale campaign, both national and international. So if I look at the major shorebird / spoonbill sandpiper sites in Bangladesh, Srinagar Island is an ecological critical area which had a problem of hunting that we have mitigated over the last decade. The new site that we have discovered, Ganguria Char, is now a Flyway network site, and Nishumdip, that's also a spoonbill sandpiper site is legally protected as a national park and marine reserve. So now, once we have identified the key sites, we are working on the management of the sites, trying to identify what are the roosting and feeding areas of shorebirds, and what kind of management interventions could, support shorebirds. And there are some other issues that we also look at, like mangrove plantation, which we know that could reduce foraging habitat for shorebirds. So we propose that to the Forest Department, showing the areas where they could and could not plant mangroves. So basically, the management of these sites are the things that we would be looking at in the next couple of years. At the same time, we'll try and find new shorebird sites. Since our coastal area is highly dynamic, we really have to continue that search every 3 years. Well, thank you very much.